Here's a quote for you. Your anger is not an apology waiting to happen. It is a truth finally being told.
So rage itself isn't always the breakdown. Sometimes it is a breakthrough, but only if we let it speak.
Two white men can go at it and it's perfectly acceptable.
Yep, they're just working it out.
They're working it out. Mm-hmm. He's being assertive. It's okay. But when we get loud, we're unhinged. Bunch of unfair bullshit. Welcome back to Unapologetic Rabble-Rousers. I'm Doc Shelley.
And I'm Carla Lewis. And
got a good one.
I know, and I can't wait. Let's start it right off with you sharing that bit of wisdom that got us all excited of this particular episode.
This particular topic. Here's a quote for you. Your anger is not an apology waiting to happen. It is a truth finally being told.
Boom. Think about that. You think about, when I think about anger, I don't so much think about the emotion as I think about the expressions that both I and those I have observed who would have been duly knighted as really angry people. The way that just all of the emotion turns into like a physical energy. And so you think about what that quote suggests, that is like this scream that says something to listen to here. Yeah. It may not be the words that are coming out, but there's something that needs to be listened to.
Exactly. Yeah. When I read that, I just thought, wow, that's it. There's so much in that, right? Because when we're angry, we apologize. After we get angry, there's always that regret. Oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that. I wish I wouldn't have said that or whatever. Mm-hmm. But there's some truth in what is causing that anger, whether it's a boundary violation, it's a not being heard, not being seen. There's so many things that can cause that kind of reaction.
Think about the fire that comes from that is ignited. It's not a slow boil. When somebody gets to that point where it is like an explosive, and it might not actually be loud and biting, but you can see sometimes the people I watched, two engineers, they were leaders, and we were working through a system, whatever kind of we were speccing out some stuff. And I have no idea why it went as it did. But these guys both stood up on either side of the conference table. And both of them, almost, it was like this cartoon. They both had their fists down on the table and they're leaning in like you see baseball coaches and umpires when they're really going at it.
Yeah.
And it's like it freezes everybody else. The heat of that moment freezes everybody around. And you're thinking not about, gosh, what's really going on here? It's about, how am I in danger? And in that particular case, I was the only woman in the room. And I was the one that stood up, kind of like when you broke up the fight at the entry to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Right. I stood up. I said, when you guys decide that you're going to act like adults and talk this out, I'll be back. And I left. I was not going to be party to that. But when you
imagine if you were standing with your fists on the table. It's not just two men having a moment.
Mm-mm.
That would be a whole political thing about the angry woman, the unstable whatever. Like you would have all sorts of labels thrown on you versus them. It's work it out and I'll come back. Even how you reacted would have been different if it was women and not men.
It's very interesting. So when we think about the various groups I saw something on the news today about Jasmine Crockett, and it was an exchange she had, and I think this was probably a year or two ago. I don't know very much about Jasmine Crockett, what I have seen has demonstrated some real tenacity and a calm kind of exterior, like an Oprah exterior, like a Michelle Obama exterior. That, and the fact that I just named three black women is also very interesting. But you think about the what marginalized groups
Mm-hmm.
and what happens if we put everybody into that place, and now you're the one that's angry. What goes on for people
Mm-hmm.
who are in that observation role, whether or not they're actually involved in whatever it is that ignites this reaction.
Yeah. It's interesting to me that rage, anger can be politicized, right?
Mm,
Kind of what you're saying. And we have the angry black woman, we have the hysterical woman. Like those labels come because people are loud. Yeah, maybe they're angry. Yeah, maybe they have some rage in them. It's not unwarranted. It's not just a personal emotion, but who gets to show it without consequence is just, it's a huge reflection of privilege and power.
indeed.
And
And
go ahead.
I'm thinking about one of the comments you had made earlier as we were preparing here was about rage in the margins. So you have this sizable, just huge, I don't know, is it emotion, physical, mental, spiritual, whatever it is that is being ignited. And people swallow that. And the margins end up being where the journals burn up because of the speed of the pen, or people see people sitting in their closed windowed car in a parking structure, banging their hands on the steering wheel or literally screaming, just screaming into it. I have seen that.
Mm-hmm.
I have probably a couple of times even been the one that was just probably one time because I'm a wimp, but bang both of my fists on the steering wheel, just saying, geez, what the heck? That's not quite how I would have said it in the moment, but
I was so mad one time that I punched a hole through a wall.
that's pretty mad.
That was like, that's probably the most angry and rage filled I've ever been. I couldn't tell you right now what it was even about. I just remember it was like some people will go outside and yell. Like
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend in college who used to drive over to the train tracks. And when a train went by, when she needed to release the
Mm-hmm.
rage and the anger, she would just do one of those primal screams.
Mm-hmm.
And the train's going by, nobody's going to hear it.
Right.
That I was just that riled up about something. I walked into the bathroom and I just punched the wall and my fist went right through it. That's how
And you,
hard I hit the wall.
and what's interesting is that that was not something you did in the moment of ignition. That
Right.
was something you did as that fuse was
It was
had
a
been
slow
lit.
burn.
Yeah, and there wasn't anything slow about it. It's just you were holding that explosion in. The
Mhm.
explosion happened long before you punched a hole in the wall. And we see that happening around us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're taught to suppress it. We're taught to suppress the fire that we have so that swallowed anger, that swallowed rage, chronic resentment, it becomes physical. We might have fatigue. We might have headaches, migraines. It can cause emotional shutdown. We
Yeah.
just get numb to it,
Right.
especially for those folks in the margin, like we were talking about. It's a survival instinct sometimes not to show anger because you don't want to get that label. She's hysterical. She's the angry black woman.
She's
She's a
hormonal. Oh,
she's
yeah.
hormone. Yeah, it's my favorite. She's hormonal. Oh, it's the redhead again. Like you don't want those labels.
No.
Two white men can go at it and it's perfectly acceptable.
Yep. They're
It's
just working it
okay.
out. They're
They're
just working it
working it
out.
out.
Hmm.
He's being assertive. It's okay. But when we get loud, we're unhinged.
Hmm. Hmm.
Bunch of unfair bullshit.
It is. It is. I have to second that. But the fact is that with this marginalized rage, it doesn't disappear. The impact of it, the reason for it doesn't go away just because we've learned how to disguise it.
Right.
And to your point, what is that that's driving this whole notion that you can't? let it out, but it shape shifts. I have to say that word very carefully. But it shape shifts into what? Burnout,
Mm-hmm.
silence, self doubt. It's like
Absolutely.
you're eating this. This is acid. This is poison. And you get to the point where you're saying it's fine
It's okay. It's
when it
fine.
is not
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to stop calling rage the problem and start calling it what it really is, which is a signal.
It is a signal. What's going on in my head is rage versus righteousness.
Mm.
Both are valid. And I think rage could be turned into purpose. It could become transformative when we know what to do with it.
And I think that knowing what to do with it comes from both sides of the experience, right?
Yeah. I mean, like rage can feel explosive, messy. It can be hard to channel that. It becomes, I don't know, like it's an accumulation of suppression and invalidation, warranted. And then when you think about righteous anger, it's a little bit more clear. It's focused, it's rooted in justice, dignity, truth. So try to focus in on the righteous anger versus the out of control rage and turn it into some sort of purpose. What are we hiding under the rage, under the righteous anger? What values are we hiding? What injustice needs to be taken care of for us?
What is it that something sacred that got crossed that would
Yeah.
be that point of ignition?
Yes, that's what I was trying to say.
Well,
Exactly.
so a boundary that gets broken or a voice that gets ignored,
Mm-hmm.
a dignity that gets denied.
Mm-hmm.
So rage itself isn't always the breakdown. Sometimes it is a breakthrough, but
Yeah.
only if we let it speak. Only if we learn how to leverage it as a signal.
Yeah. And it is like you said, it can be when a boundary is crossed, and we have to recognize that that doesn't mean failure. It's a flaw in the system and it
Right.
can be addressed. It's not failure. But
Right.
we've been trained to silence all of that. We smile, we over explain ourselves. Maybe we even gaslight ourselves.
Yeah.
So if we can start to reclaim anger, we can start to reclaim the right to name the harm and defend the space. We don't have to excuse it. We don't have to smile through it. We can own it and name it.
Well, with that, I'm Carla Lewis.
I'm Doc Shelley. I'm going to leave you with one last thought. If you've ever been told your anger is too much, too loud, too emotional, like I have, know this. Your fire is not the problem. It is the evidence that something matters deeply to you. Let it guide you. Don't let it guilt you. We'll see you next time. So, if we can start to reclaim anger, we can start to reclaim the right to name the harm and defend the space.